Yeah, hello. Welcome to the Best Football Show. I am Brian Baldinger. You can find this show every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday by downloading your free Odyssey app, liking it, subscribing to it. And then you can follow me at Baldy NFL across all social media platforms. Wednesdays, we call it Wisdom Wednesdays. And I've watched every game this week so far. And every week I come away with some takeaways, and we call it Wisdom Wednesdays. And here's what I have for you today on this Wednesday. You cannot have enough offensive and defensive linemen on your team, whether you're storing them or stocking them on practice squad or keeping them eligible on game day. I'm watching this league right now, and it is just survival of the fittest. I'm watching the Chargers win a game on Sunday against the Dolphins. They've got Bobby Hart at right tackle and Austin Deculus at left tackle. They literally are on their third team offensive tackles. And I don't know where Bobby Hart was. He's played in this league. He's bounced around this league. I don't even know if he was in a training camp. I don't think he was. He got called up. They had so many injuries, but they found a way to win the game, and they made just enough plays. And they did it with a guy, Kamani Vidal, who was their fourth team running back. That's where the league is right now. Like, there is no excuses for, we lost our two starting tackles. We lost that you can't, and often, and you win games in the trenches. And so you look at the teams that are winning, you look at what Denver's doing on their defensive line right now. They've got an issue at left guard. They're going to be on their third left guard here. Nobody's making any excuses for any of this stuff. So I'm telling you right now, you have to, like, I'm going to see the Eagles and the Vikings play this weekend. And it's going to be up at U.S. Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And 2 hours before kickoff, Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach of the Eagles, is going to be out there working with his starters, but almost more importantly, working out with his backups on techniques. And he spends an hour on the field every game day, home or away, just working those guys, training them, walking through scenarios. You can't have enough guys on your roster, and you have to keep training them the entire season. You never know when on a practice squad when you're going to call a guy up. He's got to be ready to go, ready to step in. I see we're at this rate in this league right now. If you look at the Eagles' defensive line, Nolan Smith is out. Jalen Carter has missed time, was out the last week's game. I don't know if he's ready with his heel and with his shoulder right now. They lost Milton Williams and they lost Josh Sweat in free agency. Zadarius Smith just retired. I mean, that's five guys right there that they don't have. Nobody's making any excuses for them. You elevate Ty Robinson, third-round pick out of Nebraska. You put him out there. Nobody's making any excuses for any of this stuff. That's my first takeaway. Second takeaway. This week, the New England Patriots, winners of 3 in a row, are going into Nashville to play the Titans. They just fired Brian Callahan. He should never have been hired because they should never have fired Mike Vrabel in the first place. Mike Vrabel is and was a great coach. He had a bad season. He had a bad season 3 years ago, and they fired him. And it was a joke. It was a joke, and they have not replaced him. And Mike McCoy's got that, he's the interim head coach and all that stuff. And Mike's been a head coach, and I'm not here to take anything away from Mike. But they're going to see what a great coach looks like. Because what Mike's done in 6 games in New England is completely change a lost organization. They were lost at the very end of Bill Belichick's. From the day Tom Brady walked out of there. Maybe Mac Jones the first year was pretty good. But, just talent was depleted. What was their system? Getting Josh McDaniels back with Mike Vrabel, this looks like a quality team. And a team that could very easily compete for a playoff spot this year. I remember when Mike Vrabel had the Tennessee Titans and the number 1 seed in the AFC. They went to Kansas City and took them apart. Now, they went to Cincinnati and they got beat in the playoff game as the number 1 seed, and that's unfortunate. The quarterback turned the ball over 3 times, not going to win playoff games like that. But Vrabel had built really good and tough and physical offensive and defensive lines. They're the number 1 defensive line in football. when Mike was there. And that's what he's building right now. 2 rookies at left guard and left tackle on the offensive line, rebuilt that, which was a mess, adding, Harold Landry and Milton Williams to their defensive front. They are much better in the trenches than they have been over the last 5 years. You get a great coach, you stick with a great coach. The Steelers have proven that. You get great coach. They've had 3, in the last 50 years, 55 years. Bill Cowher took them either 14 or 15 years to win a Super Bowl. But he had them in the playoffs nearly every year. They were a good team. They were well coached. They look like Steelers under Bill, and they have under Mike. And this year might be a great year for them. Steelers could have easily blown out Mike. They could have easily blown out Bill. They stayed with him, and it's paid off. Here's one. We've watched this national TV game between the Lions and the Chiefs, and the Chiefs took the Lions apart. And the Lions were really good. I mean, they were averaging 40 points a game, and they got blown out. And, the Chiefs were 2-3, and people were saying, the witch is dead and all this kind of stuff. You never bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Because here's the thing. I've known Andy since the day he got hired in Philadelphia in 1999. And if you could talk to Donovan McNabb, you talk to Patrick Mahomes, you could talk to Alex Smith, talk to any of these guys that have played, Jeff Garcia, any guy that's played for Andy, including Doug Peterson. You are never, ever going to run out of offensive ideas, new plays, new concepts, new ways to move the football. You're never going to run out of ways. And now they've got their 3 wide receivers with speed, all healthy. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Tyquan Thornton, and Rashee Rice is ready to return pretty soon. And Travis Kelce took him a while to get going, but he looks like Travis Kelce. They addressed the left tackle position, and Josh Simmons is starting to look like Josh Simmons. But even Jalen Moore played good last week. I'm in my office here on the 3rd floor at NFL Films, and I'm looking over here at what Steve Spagnuolo put on my whiteboard over here, his cover 3 outline of how he coaches it and teaches it. And it's been up there for 7 years. Spags is an amazing coach, and his preparation and how he gets his players ready to take away, some of the things that Detroit like to do is in big games, big spots. He's been remarkable. All right. And they're 3-3. If they go on a 10-game run right now, it's not going to surprise me. But they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going, and nobody's going to want to see them, whether they win the division or not. I have a feeling they will, but regardless, they're going to be tough all the way. Like this team, they're going to begin scoring points in bunches. It's coming. I want to talk about the New York Jets. Because everybody's trashing the New York Jets, and the offense was ugly and awful, and there's no way to sugarcoat any of what they did offensively. The offense line was terrible. The quarterback was terrible. The play calling, the whole thing was a mess. But from a guy that played on a 1-15 Indianapolis Colts team, I'm telling you, even on the worst teams in football, there's good players. That defensive effort that the Jets had was it was the best defensive effort they've had all year. And not just that, but the effort that they played with, they held Denver and Sean Payton to 13 points in that game. That was remarkable. They the linebacker play of Jamian Sherwood and Francisco Marino, the rookie, they were unblockable. They were, and I saw Jamian Sherwood covering Cortland Sutton on a 7 cut to the end zone, and was right there with him, covering him from the slot. I saw him bat down balls. I saw they couldn't block Francisco Marino. The guards couldn't get to him. He was flying so fast. Their effort, and then they brought in Jarvis Brownlee. They just traded for him on September 23rd. Like he was their nickel slot, and he played great. They got Jermaine Johnson back for the first time in a month. Like he was dynamite. Will McDonald's been good. Quentin Williams. Like they got great efforts from a lot of players. And I feel bad for them because the whole world's trashing the Jets. They stink, fire the coach, all this stuff. They got the first takeaway of the season. Jarvis Brownlee, knocked it loose out of, Troy Franklin's hands. They stopped him on third downs. They stopped J.K. Dobbins, his worst game of the season. I felt bad. I feel bad for a lot of the guys on the Jets because that's the way they play defense against that Denver Bronco team is the way you're supposed to play the game. So hats off to the guys that laid it on the line, played hard, and just blocked out the noise and went and played a football game. If you're watching the last Monday night game of this past weekend, you saw Chicago beat Washington. And in the game, Washington has the game won, all right? And all they've got to do is basically hand the ball off from Jaden Daniels to Bill Krosky Merritt. That's all you got to do is execute a handoff. They're going to run the clock out, and they fumble it. Now it's raining. It's bad conditions. The ball slips through Jaden's hands. He can't really get a grip on it as he tried to hand off to the running back. The ball's on the ground, and Nahshon Wright recovers it. And the Bears go down, make a big play, kick the game-winning field goal. And the year before, they won on a Hail Mary pass with no time left on the clock from Jaden, 52 yards, from Jaden Daniels to Noah Brown, I believe. Came down. And my point is, these games, we look at the records and we're trying to size up these teams and who's good, who's not good. That game on Monday night, the game a year ago, sixth game of the season, was decided on a Hail Mary play. The game on Monday night was basically decided on one play, the inability to actually execute a handoff. These games are so close. One play anywhere in the game can decide these games. And so sometimes we look at these teams' records and we go, oh, they should win this game. They're 4-2. The other team is 1-5. Baloney. Like these games are coming down to the fourth quarter. Like, yes, every once in a while you get a blowout game. But for the most part, most of these games come down to the fourth quarter, and can you execute a play? We've seen more kicks blocked already this year that are determining the outcome in these games. And so every coach delivers the same message. 60 minutes of hell. Never quit. Never give up. You don't know what play is going to change the game. I mean, this message is universal in every locker room, win or lose. It's universal. And so there's teams that are struggling right now. The Bills and the Eagles are struggling. But even in their struggles, I can point to a play in any one of those games where you go, man, they could have won that game. If you go back the week before, I mean, if Patrick Mahomes doesn't just make that throw to Juju Smith-Schuster at the goal line to go up 21-14, and Devin Lloyd doesn't take it back 99 yards for a touchdown, chances are the Chiefs win that game and Jacksonville's struggling. So just be a little careful in some of the criticism here of some of these teams and some of these teams' records and what's really going on. And look, you don't want these games come down to one play, but sometimes that's just the way the league is. Every team is beat up, injured, backup quarterbacks, linemen. You look at Detroit's secondary right now. Good luck trying to figure out who those guys are. And some Rock Ya-Sin, bounce around this league. Like they're playing with corners that, have been traveling this league. The Eagles are looking for a corner in the worst way, maybe two corners if Quinion can't play this weekend. So everybody seems to be shorthanded. Nobody's making any excuses. And it can be just a play. One play can decide these games. So my message to all these teams, play hard, play 60 minutes, or make a play. You look at the week before, Kyron Williams is going in to score basically the go-ahead touchdown. Like he's going in to score, and Alfred Collins, the rookie defensive tackle, punches it out of his hands at the goal line. San Francisco recovers, and San Francisco wins the game. Like if he doesn't make that play, it's one of the great plays I've seen in the league this year. If he doesn't make that play at the goal line, like there's no way San Francisco wins that game. So one play. Everybody is one play away. That's how you got to think. And so play hard, play 60 minutes. And for that, that's my wisdom for this Wednesday. Wisdom Wednesday. Thanks for joining me, everybody. We will see you again tomorrow as we get ready for Week 7 in the National Football League.